Let me ask you something. When exactly did you lose sight of the fact that you are the prize? When did you start contorting your entire life to fit into hers, rearranging your schedule, betraying your own values, softening your edges, and bending your standards, all in the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd finally see your worth and choose you? The truth is, you were never made to be the guy anxiously waiting by the phone, refreshing messages that never come, sitting in silence while she weighs her options like you're some kind of consolation prize. You weren't built to be the backup plan, the emotional safety net, or the convenient fallback she turns to only when her other choices fall apart. You were meant for so much more. You were meant to be the storm, a powerful, unstoppable force that demands respect and presence, not the quiet shelter she runs to when everything else fails. And here's a truth many men refuse to face. She doesn't make you a priority because you haven't made yourself one. You've forgotten that you're the one who sets the standard, the one who determines how he's treated. Instead of proving your worth to yourself first, you've been tirelessly trying to prove it to her, hoping for validation that will never come from the outside. But this isn't about becoming bitter or closing yourself off. It's not about playing mind games, building walls, or becoming cold and distant. It's about becoming crystal clear about who you are, what you value, and what you will never, ever settle for. Because when you remember your worth, when you fully own it in your bones, not just say it with words, something undeniable shifts inside you. You no longer have to convince her of your value. You don't have to chase her attention or beg for her time. Instead, she will feel it, not just in her mind, but deep in her gut, where real attraction lives. That's the moment you stop being an option and start becoming the standard. The first step to this transformation is deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. Stop showing up where you were never truly invited. The moment you stop forcing your presence into spaces that don't welcome you, you reclaim your power and your value. You don't need to constantly check in, over-explain yourself, or be endlessly available like some backup plan. Every time you do that, consciously or not, you're sending the message, choose me, I'll make it easy for you. But a man who truly respects himself never operates that way. A man who understands his worth doesn't hand out his energy carelessly. He doesn't compete or beg for attention. Because real value doesn't chase, it attracts. The hard truth is this: she will never make you a priority if she knows she can have you anytime she wants without effort. So here's your move. You pull back. Not out of bitterness, frustration, or petty games. You simply stop showing up where you aren't appreciated or respected. You let your absence speak louder than any words ever could. You create space, and in that space, she feels the weight of your silence, because the more you chase, the more she runs. But when you stand still, when you move with quiet confidence and self-respect, she begins to notice the difference. She starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're becoming, and why you're no longer desperate for her attention. And for the first time, she will come to you. Not because you begged, but because she finally realizes your presence was never guaranteed in the first place. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. The next step is non-negotiable if you ever want to be respected. You have to build a life that doesn't pause for her. A life so full, so focused, and so unapologetically about your growth that no one, not even the woman you want, becomes the center of your universe. You want to know what stops a woman in her tracks? What truly captures her attention? It's not a man frozen in place, waiting for her to make up her mind, lingering in the background like a shadow desperate to be noticed. It's a man who moves. A man so locked into his purpose, so consumed by his goals, that her attention becomes a luxury, not a requirement. That kind of energy is magnetic, it's undeniable. When your life is rich with direction, when you're building something real, when you're grinding, evolving, and chasing your own ambitions, she feels it. Even if you're silent, even if you're distant, your focus speaks louder than any words ever could. You become the gravitational force in the room, the man who doesn't beg for attention because his presence commands it naturally. Suddenly, you're not the guy constantly checking in, seeking reassurance, waiting for her to send the next text or make the next plan. You're unavailable, not out of spite, but because your time is already accounted for. You're busy building your empire, cultivating your mind, sharpening your body, stacking your money, fueling your purpose. And here's what happens. That's when she starts noticing. That's when she starts wondering where you've gone, why you're no longer orbiting around her mood swings or waiting for breadcrumbs of attention. That's when she realizes she's not your final destination. She's not the thing you've been chasing. She's simply an optional passenger, welcome to come along for the ride, but never allowed to steer. And the moment she feels that shift, everything changes. She starts chasing your time, craving your attention, fighting for a place beside you, because now it's no longer guaranteed. And there's nothing more intoxicating to a woman than a man whose life keeps moving forward, with or without her. Calmness is the new currency, and in today's world, it's rarer than gold. Every man talks about being in control, but the moment a woman pulls back, they fold. The moment she goes distant, they panic. Their emotions unravel. They overreact. They chase. They over-explain. They beg for answers, for reassurance, for clarity. And without even realizing it, they hand over all their power. But not you. Not anymore. You stand out by standing still. You become the rare exception in a world full of frantic energy and weak frames. When she pulls back, you don't chase. You observe. When she goes silent, you don't fill the gap with desperate words. You let the silence breathe. Her moods can rise and fall like the tide, but your foundation stays planted, immovable, unshaken. Your peace? It isn't up for negotiation. It isn't dependent on her affection or her validation. It comes from within, built through discipline, self-respect, and an unshakable understanding of your worth. And here's the truth most men never grasp. Nothing draws a woman in like a man she can't control. A man who refuses to be emotionally tossed around by her temporary feelings. Ironically, that very calmness, that steady, rooted presence becomes the one thing she feels safest around. Because beneath all the games and uncertainty, that's what she truly craves. Stability, strength, quiet power. Understand this. Real power isn't loud. It isn't in raised voices or desperate text messages. It's in how still you stand when everything around you tries to shake your frame. It's in how you hold your ground without flinching, how you let the storm pass without losing your center. When you master that, you don't just demand respect, you embody it. And once she feels that, she'll realize you're not like the rest. You're the standard. You also have to master the art of being selective, not desperate. One of the most common mistakes men make, especially when they're eager for connection, is treating any attention from a woman like it's some kind of precious prize to be grabbed and never let go. But high-value men know better. They don't chase every glance, every smile, or every fleeting moment of interest. They don't settle for scraps or make room in their life for just anyone who comes knocking. Instead, they filter with purpose. They ask themselves the hard questions. Does she bring peace and positivity into my world, or does she bring drama and complications? Is she genuinely attracted to my core, the real me, or just the effort I put in to win her over? Because here's the truth. Not all attention is worth having, and not every connection deserves your energy. When you stop scrambling for approval and start filtering intentionally, something shifts deep within your energy. You stop sending signals of desperation, and instead, you radiate confidence and self-respect. She senses it immediately. You're no longer just another guy happy to be available, eager to prove himself worthy. You become a man with standards. A man who values himself enough to walk away from anyone who doesn't add real value to his life, no matter how tempting. And women respect that. They respect a man who doesn't crumble or lower his standards just because she's beautiful or because the opportunity seems convenient. They respect a man who knows his worth and refuses to settle for anything less than what aligns with his purpose and peace. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just attract fleeting attention, you command lasting respect, and respect is the foundation of being prioritized. Because priority is never about desperation, it's about value, intention, and knowing you're worth enough to only invest where you're truly seen and appreciated. Let her fill the space you once occupied. You were always available, the first to reply, the one who dropped everything to be there, the constant reminder that she had options and a safety net whenever she needed it. But now, that dynamic shifts. When she texts, you don't respond immediately. When she checks your social media, there's nothing new to see, no constant updates, no transparent window into your life. She starts to wonder. She wonders what you're doing, who you're becoming, and why you're no longer at her beck and call. Let her sit in that uncertainty. Don't rush to soothe the discomfort she feels when you stop chasing. That discomfort, the silence, the space where your energy used to fill, is fertile ground for attraction to grow. She has to experience the absence of your presence to truly understand its value. When you're always there, always ready, always reachable, your presence becomes background noise, taken for granted, expected, and ultimately devalued. But when you pull back and hold your peace, letting the silence speak for itself, you create a void she can't ignore. You make her feel what it's like when you're not chasing, and in that space, she begins to appreciate what she lost. So stop filling the silence with messages, explanations, or appearances. Let her hear the quiet. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Because sometimes the most powerful move is to simply step back and let your lack of presence remind her that you were never just an option, you were a choice, and choices deserve respect. And finally, the most important step, respect yourself, out loud, clearly, and unapologetically. People don't learn how to treat you based on what you say, they learn it based on what you accept and tolerate. If she flakes on plans and you forgive instantly without a word, she quickly learns that disrespecting your time has no consequences. If she sends breadcrumbs of attention and you keep showing up like clockwork, she realizes she never has to put in any real effort or give more than the bare minimum. So what do? You walk away, not out of anger or spite, but from a place of unwavering self-respect. Your time, your energy, your peace, that's your empire, your most valuable kingdom. And if someone doesn't treat it like the precious resource it is, you don't waste time getting mad or pleading for respect. You get gone. You remove yourself quietly and decisively, making it clear that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. This isn't about punishing her. It's about setting a standard so high that she understands your value without question. When you respect yourself this fiercely, you teach everyone around you, especially her, how to honor your worth. You become the man who doesn't settle for less because he knows exactly what he deserves. And that, more than anything else, is what makes you truly irreplaceable. Before anyone else can truly value you, you have to fall in love with the man staring back at you in the mirror. And I'm not talking about the surface level reflection you catch in passing or at the gym. I'm talking about the deeper internal man, the one who owns his flaws, his wins, his relentless grind, and his unwavering discipline. Do you respect that man? Are you proud of the progress you've made and the direction you're headed? Because until you fully embrace and love that man, the man who stands firm on his own 2 feet, no woman will be able to love you the way you deserve. Women don't chase emptiness, they chase wholeness. They're drawn to men who are already full, men who don't look to others to complete them or fill a void. So, fill your cup first. Pour your energy, passion, and focus into your purpose. Let your self-love and self-respect set the unbreakable standard for how others treat you. When you show up whole and confident, you stop attracting halves, distractions, and those who drain your value. Here's the unvarnished truth. You are not here to be someone's second thought, their backup plan, or their just-in-case option. You're here to become the man who commands admiration, not manipulation. The man whose time is sacred, whose silence speaks louder than words, and whose path is too strong and purposeful to be diverted by temporary feelings or fleeting drama. You don't chase validation, you embody value. You don't beg to be prioritized, you become the man who is prioritized because he's worthy of it. So, the next time she goes cold, you respond with calm silence. When she pulls back, you move forward, with or without her, because the moment you stop needing her approval, the moment you free yourself from depending on her attention, that's when the tables turn. That's when she truly starts noticing you, not as an option, but as a prize. And in that moment, the choice is no longer hers to make. It's yours to own. You hold the power, you set the rules, and you become the man who is no longer waiting to be chosen. You become the man who chooses. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way. So stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.